I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, Pokemon.
Welcome back to the 6th episode of this Pokemon Scarlet Surprise Trade Crochet Badge Quest, where I am surprise trading a Pokemon before each gym, Titan, and Team Starbase, and then crocheting the Pokemon we receive each time. Previously on the PSS TCBQ, I traded away a Numel and received an Appletun who was immediately evolved into an Appletun. After crocheting both Pokemon, we took on Kofu of Cascarafa and earned our 3rd gym badge. I caught this Phanpy in the desert to end the episode and begin this new one. Phanpy gets sent away, but it seems something goes wrong in the trade. Phanpy travels through time and space to reach its new destination, and what we receive in return is something that has made that same journey. The Paradox Pokemon Irontread steps out of the time machine to greet us. Being honest, at this moment when I saw Irontreads, I was both excited and scared to crochet this Pokemon. Just look at it, it doesn't really fit into what you'd expect from Crochet. The robotic, streamlined form, the shining iron body, the strange and unusual shapes. I hope I can faithfully recreate this in yarn form. On the other hand, I couldn't find many future Paradox Pokemon that people have crocheted online, so this is new territory and a challenge for me. Let's now take a look at Irina, our new Irontread's companion. This is our first nicknamed trade, by the way, and also our first Generation 9 Pokemon. Irina comes from a batch of Pokemon called Paradoxes, introduced in both Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet features Pokemon from the past, whereas Violet are brought from the future. The truth behind their existence is still a mystery at this point in the game, and not something we will really discover until the final part of the Indigo Disc DLC. As you can probably guess, Irontreads is a future counterpart of Donphan.
I remember going to see the first Pokemon movie as a kid, and witnessing the reveal of Donphan. I'd known and memorised all the Pokemon, how could there be an unknown? I sat in awe at the future of Pokemon, and if only my child self could see this future that Pokemon had become. Let's now break down Irontread's design for Crochet. The main body is a ball, but it breaks off into segments at the front. The faceplate itself bulges out more so than the rest, so that can be made as a separate piece. The metal coat doesn't fully cover the whole body though, and then there's a soft black underbelly at the base. The legs are an extremely strange shape. I'll need to look into how to craft it, but it's kind of like a capital H on its side with one large rounded end. There's also a small W engraved on the bottom. These thin pieces of metal are held in place by stubby black legs that don't touch the floor. I assume they're made of the same material as a belly, and they feature something that looks like wires running across them. To bring it back towards being more elephant-like, it has a black tusk on either side of its head. The long ears that Donphan is known for become these long black blades. They're affixed to the body with hinges so that they can be moved up and down. The faceplate is like an LED screen, a blank black screen which can light up with red eyes to show emotion. The mouth sits underneath, fitting flush against the faceplate. Now comes the namesake, the treads. Acting as a trunk, these tread panels run along Irontread's back. They're thin rectangles that end with angled pieces at the tip and tail. There are 11 of these panels. 9 of them feature what looks like a window that displays the red flowing liquid inside. The 2 end plates only have those edge windows. From a top view, the treads taper down to the ends. When Irontread is on the move, it wraps the treads around its body. I could attach some kind of fastener on the end of each piece,
so that my iron treads can roll up too. There's just 3 simple colours for this Pokemon. Grey to act as the metal coat of the body and feet, black for the features like tusks, ears and legs, as well as the bulk of the treads, and then red for the tread windows. So let's get started. I begin with the body as always. It's the base of the build to which everything else will be attached. In Pokemon Violet, Iron Treads is that game's quaking Earth Titan, one of the gigantic Pokemon we will have to face on our journey. I won't be making this Iron Treads into a Titan, so only build up the ball of the body so far, making it about the same size as Appletun. Once I reached most of the way down the body, I wanted to create this rounded look around the underbelly. The front of the metal coat reaches further down than the sides so that they can fit the legs. I added some double and triple crochets to the front and back and continue around until I end up with this helmet looking piece. I move on to making the underbelly separately. In hindsight, these definitely could have been made as one piece, but I was hoping to achieve a deep ridge when it makes a switch from tough metal to softer metal. I don't really know what this material is. I get this pinned and stitched to the body and make the head plate. Again, it's a simple half sphere that gets stitched onto the front of the body. With the body done, I begin making the odd feet. Normally, when I'm unsure about a shape, I'll look online for something that could be similar, but this one is just so strange that I struggle to find anything. I eventually go with making a H shape. I also change the size of my hook so that I can make the foot more detailed. With a smaller hook, I can add more stitches and end up with something that will look a lot better. Think of it in terms of polygons in games. More polygons or stitches will give it a smoother finish. Once I have the H shape, I add in a bunch of half double, double and triple crochets to give the top a big rounded look and finish off. As always, I like to leave clues to my next team member in my videos. I also like to post obscure photos of the crochet process and see if people can guess who it is. I had so many guesses this time, and I kind of felt bad for posting something this difficult. I also hid away Iron Treads right at the end of Appletun's training last time. Drop a comment if you find the clue to the next Pokemon in this video. Going back, a big problem with this design in Crochet is that Iron Treads puts all of its weight on these thin pieces of metal. Yarn won't take that weight, being a lot softer and floppier than metal, so I double up and make 8 of these feet. I can then add some cardboard at the centre of each foot, so it will hopefully stay sturdy when Iron Treads stands on them. I embroider a W onto each outward facing foot piece and then get them all stitched together before moving on to the legs. These are simple tubes which I make 4 of and stitch to the body and feet. Iron Treads can now stand. I begin making the tusks in black. I do this in a similar banana shape I used back when I made Bagon's head ridges, although I don't close off the banana. I size these up on the body so I know where to embroider the line where the metal plates meet. I make an outline with pins before I sew the circle in black yarn. I do this around the faceplate too and finally stitch on the tusks. I finish off the body with the ears. The long blades are attached to a circular base, so I make a separate circle before crocheting a long pointed cone shape for each ear. I know these may have a tendency to become floppy if I leave them as is, so I bend some wire that can sit inside each ear and feed into the body. This should keep them solid when Iron Treads rolls out. With all the body pieces done, he kinda looks like Mario crossed with Heihachi from Tekken.
So long, Bowser!
Now it's time for the main event, the thing that gave me so much hassle and took too much work, the treads. As I said before, there are 11 separate treads and they taper down from the centre on each side. I wanted this to be as accurate as I could get it and also have the function to roll up, so I measured the length that they would need to be with Iron Treads' feet tucked in. Once I had this length, I could divide by 11, give it a suitable width for the centre and then taper down to the slimmer ends. I tested how many stitches I'd need to make each shape and thought I'd be good to go. I've never been great at maths, so I double checked everything and in theory it should have worked out, but you'll see my mistakes as I go through my crochet process here. So I start with the bases of each rectangle in black. The centrepiece is a regular rectangle, but each piece going down the trunk reduces its stitch count along the way. I really should have made this as one solid piece, but I wanted that reticulated effect that the treads have. Once I had all 11 back pieces done, I could begin on the tops. These would include a colour change to red to make that window in the same piece. Each piece is pretty much the same. I make the first row in black before switching to red that will become the side windows. I switch back to black and carry the red along to the opposite side. A few rows in, I can then begin switching to red in the centre of the rectangle to make the big window. I don't cut my yarn during this process, I keep 2 skeins attached throughout. This means I have to make sure that when I change colours, I have to carry the unused colour along the back. The back will look a lot messier, but it will be unseen in the finished design. The 2 end pieces are slightly different in that they don't have a central window, but it's essentially the same pattern. Once this has all been done, I make the sides of each box as it were. Another mistake. I could have lightened my workload here by making these as one piece, or by including them in the initial black rectangle. I make long and short sides for each piece. With 11 treads, you can see why this was a mistake and a massive pain. I begin stitching the boxes together and add more cardboard to the bottom and top of each one to hold the shape better. The end pieces come to a point, so I make their sides triangular. After an agonisingly long time, I crochet all the pieces and get them stitched together. I have real attention problems when I have to do something in bulk like this, and so what could have taken a few hours at most took me days instead. This is when the next problem arises. The pieces I crocheted are much bigger than my initial plan. I think I should be okay by just removing a link like you would do a watch, but this means it's not entirely accurate. I know it's not a problem for 99% of people, but it's something I'll notice. Another painful time was stitching these pieces together, -1, and the treads are almost finished. I add dots of white paint to the red windows to give it that bubble effect. They're now ready to be attached to the body. Before I can do that, I can finally make the face in felt and add some stitches to resemble a mouth. I get the treads on and Iron Treads is ready to roll. Back to the game. I realise we haven't really gotten to know Irina. Normally we'd train together and go on an adventure across Paldea to reach our next challenge, but there's really no need here. Irina is level 59. Training isn't necessary and they're past the point that they'll obey me. I'm also already in the Asado Desert and decided that what better opponent for Irina than her Scarlet counterpart, Great Tusk, the ancient paradox form of Donphan. So Irina unfortunately gets little to no character development, but that doesn't mean that they're not a valued member of the team. This will be a battle for the ages, literally, as Irina will be travelling further to the past to take on their ancestor. As a ground steel type, Irina has a type disadvantage against Great Tusk ground fighting, but we have levels on our side, provided Irina listens to me. We run through the desert, pushing past the billowing sandstorm until we see the gigantic form of Great Tusk on the horizon. I rush right into the belly of the beast to begin our epic battle. Irina pales in comparison to Great Tusk's massive size, which would be true even if this wasn't a Titan. Great Tusk towers in at 7'3", with iron treads being an itty bitty 2'11". Now don't ask me why I did this, but I terrestrialise Irina on turn 1, changing them into a pure steel type. I then choose a ground type move. Looking online, I believe terrestrialised Pokemon still keep their original same type attack bonus, so not a massive loss here. Stomping Tantrum does about a third to Great Tusk, who hits back with a puny rapid spin. I decided to try out our steel move, Heavy Slam, a move that deals more damage the more you outweigh your opponent. I wasn't sure how that would interact with a Titan, but with the boosted terrestrial effect it did decent damage. Great Tusk then seems to realise what's going on and switches from using Rapid Spin to the super effective Brick Break. This is also the time when Irina decides not to listen and tanks 2 Brick Breaks to the face before falling asleep. I have no choice but to heal up and hope that Irina gets into gear and finishes this first phase of the fight. They do, and another heavy slam causes Great Tusk to flee to its Herba Mystica stash. Powered up with big plant energy, Great Tusk is ready to fight once more, but we're joined by Arven this round. Irina starts off with a turn of Disobedience, while Great Tusk focuses on Arven's Scovillain. We manage to get in a Stomping Tantrum next turn, and Scovillain also puts in some work with a Razor Leaf. Great Tusk hits us with his own Stomping Tantrum though, and it takes us down to just over half health. Irina has had enough. They pretend not to notice our directions and loaf around. Scovillain becomes a Scohero of this story, whittling down Great Tusk's HP with a few more Razor Leaves while we sit and watch. Great Tusk retaliates though, and takes down our partner, a true one until the end. Now turning its sights to Irina, it crits with a Brick Break and ends her challenge just a little too early. I decide to finish the fight with our trusty Appletun, who tanks a Rapid Spin and spits out an Apple Acid to win the challenge and send the Titan back to its own time. This boost of EXP gives Skiddo, our first partner, the level it needs to evolve. He becomes the Mount Pokemon Go-Goat, something I will now need to crochet in a future video. Inside Great Tusk's lair, we find his stash of sour herba mystica. Arven uses it in a sandwich, which Koraidon wolfs down, granting him the ability to glide. What we're really here for though is that sick dog. Arven feeds Mabostiff some of his sandwich, which lets him finally open his eyes. He's slowly on the road to recovery. So this episode has featured a Fanpy, an Eintreads and a Great Tusk, so I'll end by catching this Don Fan for my next trade. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Just a quick outro, I want to say thank you to everyone that's subscribed recently. The Safari Week video has been a lot more popular than my other videos. That doesn't mean to say that I won't continue making crochet videos in favour of shiny hunting videos. I just do want to do a mix of both. I've got some shiny hunts on the go at the moment that I want to turn into videos, which I think will be cool videos, but I will also be continuing crocheting in this badge quest, and I've also got ideas for other crochet projects outside of the badge quest. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, all that, and I'll see you next time.